Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Nope, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Kiki Palmer, Brandon Perea, Michael Wincott, Keith David, and Stephen Yeun, directed by Jordan Peele. Now, welcome back to Jordan Peele's not biopic, but filmography, whereas I reviewed his first film, or first two films on Halloween, but I'm doing this one a little earlier than Halloween. I'm going to do something else later for Halloween this year. I won't say what it is, but I'm reviewing Nope, or as I like to call it, Pone, aka the Get the Fuck Out of Here sequel. Well, it's not a sequel per se, but it's got Jordan Peele's name as director and Daniel Kaluuya's name as a star. So, before I get into this movie, I must say I watched it twice. I think I got some of it more on first viewing and some stuff on second viewing. So let's see how this goes. If this is Jordan Peele's best work, because Us was an 8.0, Get Out was 8.8. We'll see where this goes. Let's get started. We opened the movie in 1998 with Gordy the chimpanzee on a season 2 filming of a season 2 of a sitcom TV show clip where it's Gordy's birthday as he gets a present from his family that happens to be balloons. As one of them pops and it frightens the chimpanzee and he goes crazy and kills a couple of the actors. And after he kills two of the actors, or all three of them because there's a sister there, Gordy comes to someone that we don't even know who it is yet until later in the film. And the weird thing is there was a shoe pointed up, which felt very weird to me. And this is the thing I didn't get on both viewings, and as an opener was very frightening to the point I was on the edge of my seat when that happened. And the opening scene, as it is fucking terrifying. We move on to present day where we meet Otis Hayward Sr., played by Keith David briefly, and his son OJ, played by Daniel Kaluuya, at their house ranch with horses and home as Otis sees something and gets killed by some metal landing on him, like keys versus something like metal. I'll just say it there. And it does stab a horse in the back, like somewhere in the booty, or in the ass, I'll say. Somewhere, which has got to be painful for the horse, but it luckily doesn't kill it. And I like the reunion between director Jordan Peele and the star of Get Out, Daniel Kaluuya, after their work on that film. So it was a great choice for this movie. And as for Keith David, for what little he does in this movie, is a good performance from him. We pick up 6 months later at a movie set where OJ is training a horse, and OJ's sister Emerald, played by Kiki Palmer. Remember I talked about her about a couple of months ago with Lightyear? Maybe not, but whatever. Explains the story of the very first frame, which is in the trailer, where an African-American man on a horse as a jockey riding the horse, and as the horse melts down, the horse that OJ and Emerald has at the set, because it was scared, and it will be a clue later in the film, but I won't spoil it yet. And I really enjoy the suspense of what the movie gives you as clues in the beginning, and later in the film it will explain it all later on, as it takes a while to get there, as this is a long movie at 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it doesn't waste time, not by a long shot, as it gives it a setup at the beginning, and I admire that from director Jordan Peele. OJ and Emerald drive home with the horse named Lucky as they pass the wavy things that was advertised quite a bit in the trailers, advertisements, commercials, and they arrive at Jupiter's Claim that's ran by Ricky Jupe Park, played by Stephen Yeun, as OJ sells Lucky to him while Emerald gets a tour of behind Jupe's office as he tells the story of the sitcom that was being filmed in the very first shot, as he brings up a Saturday Night Live skit with Chris Kattan as the chimpanzee, and a few other actors like Daryl Hannah was brought up, for example. And I'm really liking the characters in this, and there were times Emerald was funny. In a way, she made me laugh, as we get kind of we get to know them as OJ's first film set as father worked on, which was The Scorpion King, which is a film I have seen and didn't really like it too much. But these are more relatable characters than The Scorpion King, I'll say. We move on to the story of Ghost running out of the horse barn he was at because somehow he was afraid as the power goes out, thanks to some aliens. And I hope I don't get M. Night Shyamalan signs in this, as this is so far a much better movie than that. And also, I like the idea of where they have different titles of stories, but with animal names. Kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie, for example, but more about animal names. OJ and Emerald go to Fry's Electronics to get some cameras and gets it set up by Angel Torres, played by Brandon Perea, who doesn't seem to like his job too much as he sets up the cameras at their house, and he becomes a character for the rest of the movie. And he kind of bugged me at first, but he became a better character at the end of the movie and day and all that. Emerald buys a horse carrier as Jupe comes by the place to invite them to a show at his theme park, and the dialogue is really good and fun to listen to. We move on to another story called Clover, and I get the impression Jordan Peele is doing, like I said earlier, the Quentin Tarantino thing, where he gives it a story, as he gives it a title under the names of the horses, which was a genius idea in my opinion. Meanwhile, OJ turns off the lights at the barn and sees something that are aliens. I thought those were really aliens, but as it turns out, it was kids in a costume getting revenge from Emerald stealing the horse statue that she bought earlier in the film. And I thought that was that was quick at first, but it turns out it was a fake out, which was an interesting choice, but I'm not a fan of it in general. There were a couple of the times the movie did scare me. For example, when the bug went on one of the cameras was one of them, and the other one I'll get to a little later, while OJ tries to get the horse named Clover as it runs away, and Emerald realizes something is in the clouds, while Emerald gets a call from Angel to get the bug that happens to be a mantis off one of the cameras, and Emerald throws Sour Patch Kids at it, which did crack me up, while OJ hides from the alien spaceship, and Clover is killed, and the mantis does eventually get off the camera, and Emerald wants to leave the farm while OJ sticks around to feed the horses, which is a bad idea to stay at a scary situation. We get a flashback of OJ and Otis at the farm, which I didn't quite get. Emerald calls Antlers Hoist, played by Michael Wincott, to film a documentary of making the impossible possible, like getting an alien spaceship. He says something like "all eyes on you," which took me my second viewing to realize what he meant. And I'll get there later in the film. And this movie is rewarding of multiple viewings as far as I'm concerned. Angel arrives, and one of their theories is a cloud being stuck around one spot like it's an alien spaceship just sitting there. And that's an interesting and a good theory. We get to the next story called Gordy, where we see the sitcom of Gordy getting the balloons like I brought up at the beginning of the movie, and we flash back to 1998 where Gordy is killing the actors on the set, while as a kid, Jupe, and yes, I said it, Jupe is the one who witnessed the chimpanzee killing the actors, and this scene reminded me of Planet of the Apes in some ways, as we see the shoe floating and the heel, which is frightening for damn sure. And Gordy comes towards Jupe, and because he never did anything to the chimpanzee, he fist pumps Jupe until Gordy is shot by the police, and that was the second scene that scared the shit out of me to death. As we move on forward to Jupe as an adult, and he's preparing for the show, and the story ends with Jupe saying, "What if I told you?" And we move on to a new story called Lucky, while Angel sets up the cameras. OJ goes to the Jupiter's Claim to get the horse Lucky out of there as Jupe's show begins. The show with his wife Amber and kids Colton, Phoenix, and Max, as they have an audience. And the three boys whom we saw earlier, where they were dressed like alien monkeys, of some kind, and the aliens abduct the audience, which is really fucking terrifying. OJ picks up Lucky and gets him the fuck out of there and drives back as the alien spaceship drops blood at their house while OJ is on the way back. And Emerald and Angel are in the house until the next day, and as OJ arrives, he sticks in his truck until the next day as he gets something thrown at his truck, which is very scary for damn sure. The next day comes and OJ gets in the Fry's truck and calls Emerald and Angel to the truck as they get the motherfucker out of there, while OJ realizes to not look at the aliens in the eye and crash at Angel's place. And OJ tells them how to avoid getting killed by these motherfucking aliens, which while they eat at a diner, and there was a brief fight in that scene that's not in the focus while they're talking, which is a stranger choice for sure. But I'm glad they didn't focus on it because that's not the movie's plot. OJ, Emerald, and Angel get back to the horse ranch, and Emerald gets a text from Hoist as he tells them they are not full of shit, and they go setting up cameras and wearing sunglasses in order to not look at the aliens in the eyes as it's a predator, and set up some cameras and from 4K to IMAX, which is something I really appreciated, and something floating snowmen. And I appreciated that from director Jordan Peele, as he makes a big success filming this with IMAX cameras. And he made some incredible shots throughout the movie. We get the final story that is Jean Jacket, which is what the aliens should be called, as OJ came up with it. And Emerald makes the music loud like she did earlier in the film as they get the floating snowmen, and as well as the camera set up, and they're trying to get the aliens on camera, and someone from TMZ on an electric motorcycle films Emerald as he asks her questions, and she doesn't say anything to him, and he takes off. As he slips from his motorcycle, OJ tries to save him, and that guy was kind of an asshole to begin with, so he does eventually die as he deserves it. And the alien spaceship goes after OJ as he does his best to not look at it, and a tornado comes to him, and the ship, I swear to God, looked like a giant eyeball in a balloon kind of way, and OJ hides it from it, and it flies away, and it comes back around, and all this is some fun stuff for the climax. Hoist abandons his position, and he films the alien spaceship from outside. He gets killed as Angel takes over the IMAX camera, and he abandons it as well and gets knocked down with a balloon. And the tornado goes after Emerald, as we saw in the trailer, as she goes on the electric bike. And OJ looks up and tries to get captured by the aliens as Emerald rides on and almost abducts OJ. And the aliens follow Emerald as she gets to Jupiter's claim and tries to capture a couple of shots from the well while she gets the Jupiter balloon to fight off against the alien, as Emerald gets some shots of them fighting one another. And as the balloon pops, so does the aliens. And Emerald cheers as she got the motherfucker on film and sees the cops coming to Jupiter's claim as well as OJ being alive. And I thought he sacrificed himself, but I was happy he was alive, and the climax is a hell of a lot of fun as far as I could tell you. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.5 out of 10. The shots were incredible throughout the movie, as I really like the characters in this movie, as director Jordan Peele makes this movie second best compared to Get Out. I like the fact that Jordan Peele reunited with Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out, as the climax was a hell of a lot of fun, as the movie is absolutely terrifying. The movie was scary, funny, and has its own theories, as it starts off like a setup and eventually gets back to it while it has some stories like a Quentin Tarantino movie, but with the horses and the chimpanzee names. And it makes good points on its theories, and this is another great job filmed and acted as movie, as Jordan Peele is very good at telling a story as far as I can tell you. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this review. And until then, it's time for me to get the motherfucker out of here.